Hello and welcome to the program, People, Politics and Power. I am Imoni Amarere. Last week, the United Kingdom announced a new immigration deal with the Nigerian government to deport those Britain described as dangerous foreign criminals to Nigeria. According to the British Home Secretary, Priti Patel, the agreement was signed last Thursday and would enable the United Kingdom increase the deportation of those considered as dangerous foreign criminals. This is part of a new British immigration plan to tackle illegal migration, keep UK streets safe, and fight criminal people smugglers. The landmark agreement, as Patel describes it, is coming on the heels of a controversial deal with Rwanda to deport persons entering the UK illegally and are asylum seekers through the British Channel. They will be deported to Rwanda. What we know so far is that the deal with Nigeria was reached the same day 13 Nigerians were deported from the UK for various violations. The agreement provides that operational teams of both Nigeria and the UK will share expertise to tackle criminal people and criminal smugglers who put profit before people, while at the same time undermining the security of countries. The concerns that have been expressed since the announcement of the agreement, which, by the way, the Nigerian government has not commented on, they are quite numerous. The concerns include whether it is only deportees of Nigerian origin or other foreign dangerous criminals, as the British refers to them, that will be brought into Nigeria. The UK deal with Rwanda allows for persons of different nationalities to be sent to Kigali. Now, what category of dangerous criminals will be qualified to be sent to Nigeria? Now, another concern is whether or not Nigeria has the capacity and the facilities to cater for the expected number of persons that will be sent to the country. Can the country cope, given the well-known state of the various correctional and custodial facilities across the country? Could the import of hardened criminals increase the already high rate of insecurity in Nigeria? Could this pose more threats of jailbreaks? We have seen quite a number in recent times. Is there a possibility that the prisons that are overcrowded right now could indeed see more breaks with more people being brought in from the United Kingdom? What will be the terms of such deportations? Is it to complete their terms, their prison terms here in Nigeria, to be integrated into society, or will they be allowed to roam free as convicts? What does international criminal law provide for persons in this category? These are some of the issues we'll be looking at on the program today. Let us be clear from the word go that we made every effort to get officials of Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Immigration Service, as well as the correctional services to come on this program, but they declined to do so. All the same, we have very well-grounded individuals, law, security, and criminology, who are joining us on the program today to do a very deep dive, look at all the angles and all the issues that will be thrown up or have been thrown up already by this development. We'll get to meet them right after now. Stay with us. All right, let's get to meet our guest analyst. Right here in the studio with us is Professor Yemi Akinseye George. Professor George is a senior advocate of Nigeria, a professor of public law, and president of the Center for Social Legal Studies. Thank you so much, Prof, for finding time to join us.
Thank you very much, sir.
Also with us is David Okoro. David Okoro is a security specialist. Thank you so much, David, for finding time to join us. And we're joined virtually online by Professor Don John O'Malley. Professor O'Malley is a professor of criminology at the Federal University, Wukari in Taraba State. Thank you so much, Professor O'Malley, for finding time to join us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome. So let's begin from here, Prof, from here in the studio. Now, how did you receive the news of this memorandum of understanding, this agreement, this deal between Nigeria and the UK, coming just about 2 months or so after the Rwanda deal?
Thank you. First and foremost, let me say that the decision by this organization, this media house, to subject this memorandum of understanding to a public discussion of this nature is highly commendable. It shows that the IIT places people at the front of their programming. You place the welfare of Nigerians and other human beings at the front, at the front of your programming. That's commendable. You're not just interested in the profit, but you want to protect the interest of the people. For me, the agreement sounds very strange because we haven't had much debate in the public domain. All of a sudden, we had that an MOU has been entered into, with a view to providing a platform for the UK authorities to transfer dangerous criminals, to Nigeria. I think this is a matter that deserves debate. We need to know the details. We need to know the terms, because I know that when there is bilateral agreement between nations, such agreements are subjected to extensive discourses, the public domain, in the academic institutions, in the legislative bodies. The representatives of the people ought to have a say, especially because human rights are going to be involved. We are talking about deporting people who have lived in the UK, who have contributed to that country, who have served that country, who have paid taxes to that country. Now, having run afoul of the laws of that country, you now want to disown them and then transfer them to Nigeria to bear the brunt of the legal activities that were committed in that country. I think it smacks of imbalance in the relationship. It speaks of inadequate respect or recognition of the rights. In fact, it reminds me of a master-servant relationship. The colonial relationship which we had with the United Kingdom. So I think, without saying too much at this point, because I must say I've not seen the details of this agreement. But, at first sight, it smacks of an imbalanced relationship. I think this agreement ought to be subjected to debate. It has to be subjected to discussion. It should not be imposed through the back door. And then when we have looked at it, and then we have seen what's on offer. Any agreement must have two sides to it. There must be offer, there must be an acceptance. What is on offer? What facilities will the British authorities provide to Nigeria to enable us, assist them in performing some of these responsibilities that they want to transfer to our country? So what's on offer? We need to know the terms and the details of this agreement before we can do justice to analyzing the pros and the cons of the agreement.
Let me push that a little bit further, Prof. Yes. Where this being a bilateral agreement between the two countries, yes, what is usually the legal process, the normal process of entering into such legal agreement? Shouldn't this be, as you put it, be subjected to a lot of discussion and debate in both countries, in the parliaments of these two countries, or in the critical agencies that will eventually be executing these agreements?
Absolutely. A memorandum of agreement of this nature is in the region of what we call bilateral treaty, bilateral, agreement between the two countries. At this stage, the executive can represent the country and negotiate with the executive authorities of the United Kingdom. They can do that. The law permits them to do that. But before the implementation can start, such an agreement has to go to the National Assembly. Such agreement has to be passed into law by our National Assembly before you can start to implement it. That's why I'm surprised that right just at the point of the agreement being signed, it appears it's already been implemented. So I think that procedure, to me, appears to be very faulty. Our Constitution puts in place a provision which says that foreign agreements with international organizations, with the international community, or other countries, has to be subjected to an approval, a debate, and then approval or disapproval by the National Assembly. So until that has been done, I'm not sure it is right and proper to start to implement this agreement. The debate has not taken. I'm not aware that such a debate has taken place. That will give the National Assembly an opportunity to look at the contents of this agreement and see whether it is good, whether it is consistent with the interests of Nigeria as a country. So I'm not sure that process has been complied with. And until that is done, I do not see that agreement being implemented in Nigeria.
David, we know very little, as it were, at this point in time, apart from what the British Home Secretary tweeted to say, look, we have entered into this deal, into this agreement with Nigeria, and this is what is contained here. Like Prof said, the Nigerian government had not disclosed the details of that agreement. But on the face of it, from a security point of view, what are your thoughts?
Well, once more, thank you, Moni, for having me. I think the very first thing that hit me when we heard this, when the news broke, was that who is doing the thinking for Nigeria? Who is thinking for Nigeria? Because when you are taking certain steps, it must be properly thought through. And the implications must be weighed. Nigeria is in the middle of a horrendous security situation. Everywhere is unsafe, so to speak. And you are opening your doors to be uploaded to your country, people that are considered dangerous criminals in an advanced country like the UK. And your custodial facilities are some of the unsafest around. By December, we had over 5,000 people that had escaped from the jail, from the various jailbreaks that we had, which means that there are issues about the security of our custodial system. And you are allowing another nation at this time to offload to your country people of questionable character or even nationalities. How do you determine whether these people were actually Nigerians or not? And like you said, this cooperative agreement have not been exposed to us in Nigeria, but who are the people that are coming? Is it going to be like the case of Rwanda, where they are opening their door to anybody who is to be deported from the UK? So it's a serious problem. We have not taken into consideration the security situation we find ourselves. We are going to introduce these sophisticated criminals into our elementary custodial centers. And what will happen? Has anybody factored this? And in fact, we are told that many more are still going to come. How many more is Nigeria going to take? And when they come in, look, we will have expected that before this happened, that we'll have taken into consideration our current security situation and taken steps to say, for instance, that special custodial, special facilities should be built for these people. So it's not supposed to be as the law is being signed, the agreement is being signed, and on the plane to Nigeria, you already have 13 or so odd people coming to Nigeria under all manner of heading, criminals, whatever they are. I want to say that there is a problem here, and we either need to take steps to halt, if it is possible, halt this agreement from being further implemented, while we wait to ensure that the country is ready to receive this group of people that are classified as dangerous criminals in the UK. The UK wants to make their streets safe and secure for their citizens. And so they are transferring that burden of insecurity to Nigeria. I think it leaves so much question to be answered here.
All right, Professor Omale, let's turn to you and get your perspective from the position of a criminologist. This is an area that dovetails into criminology, law, security, and what have you. Now, your first take on this, what are your thoughts? You need to unmute, Prof, you need to unmute so that we can hear you at this end.
Yes. As a thank you very much for having me, and thanks to the other member of the panelists. I want to say that before I became a professor of criminology, I have been working with the Nigerian prison service. All right, if you can see that. So I have been working with the Nigerian prison service, and I rose to the rank of assistant controller of prisons before I voluntarily disengaged from the prison service. So this agreement is not something that, to me, just happened now. It is something that has been in the offing right from when I was in the service. Because I know the Nigerian prison service then had agreement with one Asian country to exchange prisoners at that time. And as at 2011 or 12 or so, I had opportunity of teaching prison officers who were doing their advanced command course at the Staff College in Kaduna. And I brought out this matter to get it thoroughly interrogated by the course participants. Prisoners transfer agreement between Nigeria and the UK. We had a very robust discussion and conversation on that subject matter, and that even led to one of my publications in one of the legal journal of legal studies in the UK at that time. So this to me is not something that is really new. But what I don't understand is whether all the issues raised from the conversation we had with some policy makers at that point has been articulated or acted upon. Because the UK government was supposed to build a category A prison for Nigeria before these prisoners will be received. I'm not aware, though I'm not standing in for the prison authority, I'm no longer with them. I'm a professor of criminology now, I left them for years ago. But what I don't know is whether the UK government has built a prison, a category A prison for them, for the Nigerian prison service, before the implementation of this agreement. That I'm not sure. I don't know. And you know, the British government today in the UK is experiencing the highest inflation rate, 40 years high, according to them. So removing these criminals has a kind of criminal econometric benefit for the UK government. Because like my friend Vivian says sometimes, if a country rely on imprisonment of offenders, imprisonment will punish the offender as the same way punishing the system that implement rely on imprisonment. So imprisonment is punishing the offender at the same time punishing the government. So feeding and maintaining offenders is something that is also of economic difficulty to many countries these days. And so this deporting Nigerian criminals back to Nigeria has criminal econometric benefit to the UK. And what is our own criminal econometric benefit? It's unfortunate that the Nigerian prison service officers are not here to let us know that. What is the benefit for Nigeria receiving these criminals back? That's one, we don't know that. But to the UK, it has a criminal economic benefit. Anyway, leaving that one aside, to me, subjectively, I will say fine. Bringing Nigerian offenders back to Nigeria to serve their jail term could be a way of laundering the Nigerian image overseas. Because all of us who traveled abroad, we know how Nigeria has been so labeled as a notorious criminal country. And this is based on the statistics of Nigerian offenders in foreign prisons. In the UK today, black people are more in prison than the white people. And when you take the breakdown of the statistics of the black people, you will see that the Nigerian prisoners, the percentage of Nigerians in UK prisons is very, very high. So when they see you as a Nigerian in the UK at the border, at the airport or wherever, everybody just see you, they label you as a potential criminal. So if I maybe subjectively, like I said, bringing these guys back may be a way of laundering the image of Nigerians because it will reduce the statistics of Nigerians in UK prison. And that may now probably improve the image of Nigeria. But like Professor Akinse said, in criminology, crimes are grouped categorically into two basic categories. The mala in se crimes and the mala prohibita crimes. Mala in se crimes are crimes that are globally recognized as crime anyway and punishable by law. But crimes that fall under mala prohibita are crimes that are defined as crime because society decide to define them as such. So in this case, if the prisoners they are bringing from UK to Nigeria fall within the category of mala prohibita, then there is a problem here in Nigeria. Because some of the crimes that they are being punished for in the UK may not be recognized as crime in Nigeria. So how do we take them in for something that is not punishable in Nigeria? So that is something that we also need to look at.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Prof, yes, please
progress.
Stay with us. Let's get some feedback from Professor Akinse George on the very many issues that you have thrown on the table. For instance, how do we categorize the kind of criminals that will be brought into Nigeria? Are the crimes the same in UK as in Nigeria? And if they are not, for instance, if a man is convicted of, say, rape in the UK, and that carries a prison term of, say, for example, say 5 years, and in Nigeria it is less than that, what happens? I mean, when there are disparities in the laws of both countries, what happens?
The last speaker made reference to prisoners exchange agreement,
yes,
between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. I'm aware of that agreement. That agreement was, I think, signed around 2013.
2013. Yes, you are right.
2014. And under that agreement, Britain was required to provide, a modern facility where prisoners that are returned to Nigeria on exchange can be accommodated. But again, that creates another problem for Nigerian system. Whereas you may have, I understand that a prison has been built in Lagos, in Kirikiri or something like that, by the British authorities. I understand, I don't know how far that is true. But even if that is true, what about the services that we run, that we provided in that prison? What about the personnel? Are we also going to import warders, correctional facility officials from the UK? Then are we not facing a situation where you find elite prison system, operating side by side the prison that is meant for other prisoners. So this is going to create a lot of confusion. So it is important. In fact, this exchange of criminal, dangerous deportation to Nigeria of dangerous criminals, is it against the background of that exchange of, if it's against the background of that exchange of prisoners agreement that was signed in 2013, there are certain conditions that must be fulfilled. For example, the offense committed in the UK against which those fellows, or in respect of which those fellows have been sentenced, must also constitute an offense under Nigerian law. And then the convicts must have spent a minimum of 6 months of their imprisonment in the UK before being deported to Nigeria. You know, and then that agreement provides that the rights of the convicts must be respected. Their rights to human dignity, because the mere fact that you are somebody is a prisoner or is a sentenced offender or a convicted person does not take away the right to human dignity, does not take away the right to life. You know, so you now relocate such individuals from the UK into Nigerian prison, into prisons in Nigeria, where there are little provisions for human dignity. Our prisons are known to not make adequate provisions for the well-being of offenders. You know, some of our correctional facilities are terrible in terms of lack of facility, which has contributed to what is called jailbreak, increasing spate of jailbreaks. And many of those who have escaped from those prisons are walking the streets. You know, we know of people who came back from prison whose bodies are covered with scabies and serious skin diseases. So do you want to relocate these fellows who have spent 6 months in better environments, and then you bring them to this kind of environment? Would that be in compliance with their rights to human dignity? Would that be in compliance with their right to life, which was what we signed on to under the bilateral agreement of exchange of prisoners? So that's why at this stage it's very difficult to comment on this agreement, because we don't even know what it contains. We don't even know whether the latest MOU is pursuant to the 2013 agreement. We don't know the connection between the two. You know, so it is important that this matter should be debated, that this matter should be subjected to thorough discussion to ensure that we are not simply serving as a dumping ground, you know, for people who have served those communities very well. They have, when they were doing well, the British community has enjoyed their services. Now they have run afoul of the law. Now you are seeking to relocate them to a country where we know that we have serious challenges, just as my friend pointed out, serious challenges, even with the prisoners that we have at the moment, who are not like the so-called dangerous criminals, who have been exposed to sophisticated means of committing crime, even more sophisticated crimes. Now, we now want to bring them here without adequate preparation, because I'm not aware, without adequate training of the local officials who will take care of them, who will supervise them. I think that's very dangerous. That's very
some
dangerous.
Of the people that the British Home Secretary spoke about deporting,
yes,
are even asylum seekers.
Okay.
People who enter the UK illegally, who may not have committed dangerous crimes, as they put it, but their only offense being that they entered the UK illegally or overstayed their visas and whatever, and are going to be deported and taken to Nigerian prisons. Now, do people like that have a right to say, look, I do not want to go back to Nigeria? Can they insist that they are asylum seekers, they have not committed any criminal offenses, I want to stay back here or take me elsewhere?
I have what I like to look at is, why are they called? Because under the exchange of prisoners agreement, these fellows who can be brought to Nigeria, can be transferred to Nigeria under that agreement, must be sentenced offenders.
Okay.
Sentenced offender. That is, they have been charged to court, they have been tried, and they have exhausted all possible remedies under British law, including appeals. So I don't think you would categorize asylum seekers as dangerous criminals. I don't think they will come under that category. So perhaps it is better to clarify the relationship between this new MOU and the existing law. The existing law did not talk about asylum seekers. The existing agreement, the 2013 agreement between UK and Nigeria, does not cover the deportation to Nigeria of asylum seekers in the UK. Asylum seekers left this country for reasons best known to them. If those conditions are still the same, if the reasons why they sought asylum in the UK have not been addressed, it will be unfair, it will most inhumane, and it will be a violation of their rights. You know, as citizens of the global community, you know, to bring them back to the place where they have a place from which they have sought an escape. Now you want to force them back. And under the agreement that we signed with the UK, the consent of this individual is also required. The consent of the individuals concerned is required. You know, they have to participate in the process of deciding where they want to go back to. Do you want to remain in the UK or you want to go back to the prison in Nigeria? You know, so I'm not sure the latest MOU is in line with
the one of 2013. I asked that question because out of the 13 persons that were deported to Nigeria last Thursday, 8 of them were convicted criminals, while the remaining 5 had entered the UK illegally.
Okay.
Which suggests that all of them may not be dangerous criminals, as the British wants us to believe. So if 8 were convicted criminals and 5 others are people who just entered the UK illegally, I mean, illegal entry into UK cannot be considered as illegal entrance into UK cannot be considered as dangerous criminals. Can they?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for individuals who are seeking asylum. The fact of entry does not constitute them that does not automatically, you know, make them dangerous criminals. You know, so to lump people who have been convicted of dangerous offenses with asylum seekers, I think that's inhumane. That would be wrong. That would be preposterous. You know, so it is better to ensure that we understand the relationship between the new MOU that you are talking about. I learned about it for the first time when you called me for this interview. And I have searched the internet. I could not find the MOU. I got some of my assistants go online, find me the latest MOU regarding exchange of criminals between Nigeria and the UK. They couldn't find it. What we were finding on the internet has been the 2013 agreement on exchange of prisoners, which is decent, which is properly negotiated, you know, which contains guidelines and conditions under which such agreement can be implemented. You know, but this latest one, I'm not aware of it.
This MOU does not seem to suggest that it's an exchange of prisoners.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely about deportation.
It's a one-sided, it appears like a one-sided imposition, whereby the UK says, we are going to dump on you, these people, you know, when they were doing well, you know, we forgot that they were Nigerians. When these guys were doing well and making worthy contributions to the economy of that country, we forgot that they were Nigerians. But now that they have run afoul of the law, now you want to deport them to Nigeria. I think this may be inequitable. And international law is founded on morality and equity. There's what is called equity in international law. Es eque et bono. That's what we call it. You know, even if there are no specific rules of law which the UK may be violating, but they are probably violating the principles of equity. They are probably violating notions of international human rights under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, you know, and then the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which guarantees the right to human dignity to every human being. To every human being. If, you know, this MOU is subjected to these international standards, I think it will be clear, it will be glaring that there might have been a violation of these basic international human rights norms.
All right, let's take a very short break, and when we return, Mr. Okoro will be taking us through the security implications of this agreement, this deal that was entered into last week. Stay with us. Mr. Okoro, there are very serious concerns about, one, the security system in the country at the moment. There is a possibility, there are many people who think that there's a possibility of bringing into Nigeria some so-called international terrorists who could, in the end, worsen the situation that we have on our hands. There's also the possibility, like you mentioned before, of jailbreaks, more jailbreaks. There have been quite a number, and like you said, over 5,000 or so. We have seen people who were sprung from the various jails who are yet to be recaptured after several months on the run. Some going as far as to some European countries and to the West African sub-region. And then you bring in, now decided that you bring in some other people into the same environment. Well, what could be the possibilities that you're looking at?
Immediately, some of the things you want to look at is the possible multiplier effects. You are bringing people that are sophisticated, that you call dangerous criminals, but we'll not be told how many of them are violent criminals. We'll not be told how many of them are terrorists or are linked with terrorism. We'll not be told how many have issues with cyber crimes and all that. So it will be important that every of these individuals that is being deported here, that it's important to properly even know who they are, their background, what they have done, before you dump them. And my fear is like exporting violent crime to Nigeria or dangerous crime, because when you put these people among normal Nigerian inmates, they are coming in with superior capabilities and skills. It is easy for them to recruit people within the prison system and indoctrinate them, depending on the kind of crime they were convicted of. But that was why I said earlier that it was important that we have a special holding facilities where these people will have been kept until we are really sure who they are, or kept away from the local Nigerian prisoners, because you can never be sure the kind of indoctrination they got while they were in the UK, and they are going to bring it to Nigeria. So these are the areas why I said it is key that we should have done our own security aspect of the implication of this. And by the way, from all we have spoken, it is clear that there is a difference between the treaty of 2013 and the current one, because I recall when that was being negotiated, it was clear that the British government will support Nigeria to build facilities, to build correctional facilities where these individuals will be transported to. They were also to help in training the local personnel that are going to run them. They're supposed to help in the equipment of that. If that had been done, then people have said, okay, but it's obvious that that was not done. It was also obvious that this is something that was being done by the British government to quickly dispose of certain group of people that were in their country. And that was why, even as the ink was not dry from the signing, people were already on the jet plane back to Nigeria. So now the concern is you've introduced them. You're introducing external factors into the Nigeria correctional system. And I am saying that nobody had carried out any survey to see the impact that is going to have. So for us in Nigeria, it's going to be detrimental security-wise. Having in mind that we're already, like I said, we're already facing grave security situation. Now, you are exacerbating it by bringing this kind of influence into the system. So this is my concern, that we might just be shooting ourselves in the feet.
Do such exchange programs exist, for instance, Prof, between one European country or the other?
Usually, maybe not as a standing agreement, like the kind of, we had under the 2013 agreement. You could have, negotiated cases from case to case. So we have 50 of your citizens in our prisons. How many do you have over there? what kind of offenses did they commit? Can we swap? I think they have such arrangements in the European system. They also have such an arrangement between the UK and the United States. But in our case, this is meant to be a standing treaty. It's meant to be a standing agreement. I mean, the 2013 agreement, So I think, just as my colleagues stated, the 2013 agreement seems to me like a reasonable agreement, properly negotiated by the government, whereby the conditions are stipulated. In fact, one of the things there is that the Nigerian government can decide to withdraw from that arrangement, while the UK government can also decide to withdraw. So it was not an imposition. It was based on the fundamental principle of international law, which is that agreements are based on consent. We negotiate as equal parties. That was why, the 2013 agreement was found to be acceptable by most scholars, by most of those of us who looked at it. But a situation where you don't move away from that agreement and introduce elements that were not there, like you talk about asylum seekers. It was not part of the 2013 agreement between the UK and Nigeria. I didn't find it there. That was concerned with sentenced offenders who have already spent 6 months out of their in prison, in a term of imprisonment in the United Kingdom. And then they are sentenced for offenses that carry more than 12 months imprisonment. Not for minor offenses, like 3 months, like 4 months, or that about. The offense must carry a penalty higher than 12 months imprisonment. And then they have already spent part of that in the UK. And then the rest, the balance, can be spent in a Nigerian facility, which was to be provided also by the UK authorities under that agreement. But this new arrangement whereby you talk about bringing dangerous criminals, we don't even know whether they are all Nigerians. We don't know whether these criminals also include nationals of other countries, like in the Rwanda situation, and the emphasis is moving away from imprisonment, the use of imprisonment. Somebody said the prisons punishes not just the offender, it also punishes the state. How much resources do we have to take care of our prisoners? Not to talk about bringing those who are already used to a certain level of treatment in the UK. Now we're talking about, our laws are talking about de-emphasizing the use of imprisonment. We're talking about alternatives to imprisonment. We're talking about a suspended sentence. We're already talking about parole. We're talking about a community sentence, which is a popular thing now. We're talking about rehabilitation and treatment of offenders. This is the trend globally. Now, you are now saying you want to bring in dangerous criminals and then superimpose them on a system that is not prepared for it. I think it's going to be counterproductive. It's going to be a terrible, not just for human rights, a terrible deprivation of human rights, but also with serious implications for our security system.
Professor Omale, could this be an excuse, or could this be used as an excuse by the British government to deport as many Nigerians as they wish to, believing that their streets will be safer without these Nigerians, or in fact, persons of other nationalities?
I'm not hearing you clearly, maybe technical issues. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, Professor Mali. And I was asking if this could be an opportunity and an excuse.
Like I said, I think to me, the UK government strategically trying to decongest their own prisons, and by implication, overcrowding our own prisons that already has been so congested. So, and until the British government is able to build more, or for us in Nigeria, we are in fact adding pepper to injury in this country, because our prison already is so congested, and we don't have prisoners classification in this country. We put hardened and minor offenders together, in the same prison, which will worsen the security situation in this country. Minor criminals staying with this so-called label hardened criminals will come out from prison more hardened than they went in. So what is the aim of imprisonment then? If we don't have a separate kind of prison for these people that are coming into this country, we will end up causing more trouble and more harm to our own security system.
What do you consider will be the psychological impact of this kind of process on those who are being deported into Nigeria? You are bringing people like Professor Akinsele Justice, who are already used to a certain level of treatment in the UK, and you bring them and put them into the Nigerian prison system, which may not be up to standards with what obtains in the UK. What do you think would be the psychological impact?
Definitely one. That's like Akinsele said. That will be an abuse of the fundamental human rights of the offender, because the United Nations minimum standard rule prescribe basic for prisoners. I know quite all right that in Nigeria here we have not even met half of the UN standard minimum rule called the Mandela rules or so. We have not even met half of that standard. Then you are bringing somebody who have lived in the UK for a long time with some basic comfort, and bringing that kind of person to this country in a congested prison in Nigeria. The thing is this: one, you are abusing the fundamental human right of that offender. Two, you are causing psychological trauma to that offender. Number three, this kind of person reacts and mobilize other inmates in the prison called the break. So, which is a second.
Mr. Okoro, I'd like you to dwell a little bit on that too, and take it along with the possible economic impact for Nigeria and the UK.
Well, the question I was going to ask.
As we know today, we understand that there are over 750 Nigerians who are convicted criminals in the UK alone.
Well, see, it's expensive to keep prisoners in prison, take care of them, feed them, and ensure that they are protected. The cost of protection alone is humongous. The cost of feeding and medical for prisoners alone is huge. So what the British government was simply to do was to transfer that expenses to Nigeria government. That burden to Nigeria. But I was also wondering, there are over 9,000 prisoners in UK prison, and they are not all Nigerians. Have this kind of agreement be also entered into with other countries? So if this agreement had not happened, apart from the Rwanda stuff, this have not happened to decongest their prison of why Nigeria? Why was it so? Why were we the kind of people that accepted it? And then in return, what did Nigeria bargain for? Because there had to be reciprocity. There had to be, I'm taking this burden away from you. What burden are you going to take away from me? So the cost is going to be huge. Already we are saying that the correctional system is underfunded, and you are bringing in another set of burden, and we have not been told that the budget for the correctional centers have been increased or to prepare them to receive this kind of load that is being put on them. So it certainly is going to create more problems, more complexities, and you won't be surprised if this kind of individuals that are coming with their skills, traditional skill and connections and all that come to the system, and we are beginning to have more sophisticated problems in the jails, including more jailbreaks.
Prof, I'd like you to have a quick final word here. You are aware that the Rwandan plan, the Rwandan treaty or deal, has been stalled now by the European Court of Human Rights. It has put a wedge on it, at least for the time being.
Yes.
Do you expect something similar to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this kind of MOU, which for three reasons cannot stand. One is a violation of the fundamental rules of international law. The first one being the principle of reciprocity. Well, Nigeria gets nothing in exchange for this kind of arrangement, so it's imbalanced. So it's a violation. Secondly, it violates the human dignity of the individuals concerned. Clearly, you relocate people from that kind of environment. They have lived there all their lives, for a long time. They have worked there. They have contributed to that economy, and then their consent, probably. International law is founded on consent. And international law is no longer the law between nations. Individuals are now recognized as objects of international law. So the rights of individuals must be protected by international law, just like the International Criminal Court, which has direct jurisdiction over individuals. So other aspects of international law have now been extended to protect the right. Human rights is fundamental to international law. And thirdly, one reason why this cannot stand is that the authorities in Nigeria, the legislative authorities that have the final say in regard to when international law becomes part of domestic law, have not had a say. I'm not aware that the National Assembly has participated in the process of approving this conventional treaty or MOU between Nigeria and the UK. So at best, it is tentative. So to have started implementing it when it has not become part of Nigerian law, I think it's preposterous. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and it's a violation of international law.
Thank you so much. Professor Yemi Akinse George, a senior advocate of Nigeria, professor of public law, and president of the Center for Social Legal Studies. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
David Okoro is a security specialist. Thank you so much for joining us. And Professor Don John Omale is a professor of criminology at the Federal University in Wukari, Taraba State. Thank you so much for sparing time to join us on this program. And for you, our viewers out there, we want to thank you for investing your time with us. Join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of the program, People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.